Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. Fired up. I am your host, Nathan Harvey. Crazy weather happening out here in New York. Our skies have turned blazing orange. It's weird to see. Was it the Canada wildfires causing all that? Pretty crazy stuff. But thank you all for joining us on this evening version of the Harvey Hour. Fired up. I do want to jump right into our first topic for today's show because I think it's quite interesting. So let's jump into it. So, a report came out earlier this week that supposedly the Philadelphia Eagles were very intrigued in former Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson. Now we know what Russell Wilson turned into this year, but the prior year wasn't all that stellar. However, it seemed like the Eagles wanted to move off of Jalen Hurts and move on to Russell Wilson for whatever reason. I don't understand it myself. It seems like as soon as Jalen Hurts got an opportunity to play, everyone wanted him gone already, which blew my mind as to why. We remember a couple of years ago, I still remember this pretty clearly. Jalen Hurts, I believe it was the last game of the season against the Commanders, got benched in the fourth quarter. He was only down by 3 at the time. His throwing stats weren't that good. I think he was like 7 of 20 for like 70 yards and an interception. However, I believe he had 2 rushing touchdowns. He was down by 3 at the time. He got benched in the fourth quarter for Nate Sudfeld. What? At the end of that game, it turns out Doug Peterson got fired after that. And we now know what happened. He moved on to the Jaguars and made it to the playoffs this past year with Trevor Lawrence. I think it's interesting, though. I really think it's interesting how, for some reason, up until like this past year, nobody believed in Jalen Hurts whatsoever. A very small minority of people believed in Jalen Hurts. It was always Carson Wentz. And then Jalen Hurts, what are you going to do there? Should we stay on him? I don't know. Should we draft a quarterback? There were a lot of question marks if he is even the guy. How about let's compare Jalen Hurts to Russell Wilson. This was their 2021 season that the Eagles were going to go off of. Jalen Hurts had a better record, a lower completion percentage, more passing yards, a significantly lower passer rating, and a worse touchdown to interception ratio. Not great from Jalen Hurts, but also not that great from Russell Wilson. Because Russell Wilson, we've now seen it for like 3 consecutive years, has been on this weird down spiral where it gets worse and worse and worse. And the Seahawks, obviously there was turmoil there. We now know Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll did not get along very well. And I think there was a report out that said Russell Wilson actually, I believe, wanted Pete Carroll fired. And the Eagles had no faith in Jalen Hurts whatsoever, even though they drafted him. And they got off of Carson Wentz because he was injury prone all the time, and that seemed to be a pretty good decision. And Jalen Hurts was really the only option if they weren't going to draft a quarterback. If they were, then you had other options. Instead, they stuck through with it, and look what it turned into. That's the thing I never understand. Imagine if you are put in a position and never given an opportunity or a fair opportunity, or no one believes in you. Jalen Hurts took that and said, you know what? I don't care if people don't believe in me. He worked extremely hard. And we saw this. I've done this before. I've done this comparison a while ago on this show. How the transition from what Jalen Hurts was to what he is now is very, very similar to Josh Allen, who now gracefully covers Madden 24. He's the cover athlete for EA's renowned game. So this transition is crazy because guess what? When you put pieces around, it could an unknown player, but has a lot of upside. Jalen Hurts, we didn't know what he was going to be, but he was very, very talented, very mobile, very athletic, and had a pretty to great arm. You put him with an A.J. Brown, you put him with a Devontae Smith, a Dallas Goedert, and a phenomenal offensive line, and I would say B-plus running backs. And this team makes it to the Super Bowl and has an opportunity to beat Mahomes and win their first Super Bowl. That's what happens. That's what happens when you have a little bit of belief. When you show that you have success and your team believes in you a little bit and put pieces around you, yeah, look what happens. But I find it very fascinating that a very, very small percentage of a lot of football fans believed in Jalen Hurts. Going into this past season, people were still wondering, is Jalen Hurts the guy? Is Jalen Hurts going to be the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback moving forward? In my mind, it was already made up. Yeah, he should be. He should be their franchise quarterback because he's very talented, he's very athletic, and he has a great arm. It's now up to the GM and the head coach to get the pieces around him up to the level that you need to be a playoff team and a Super Bowl winning team. Now, they made it to the Super Bowl last year. They had an opportunity to win the Super Bowl last year against Mahomes and just couldn't get it done. Now, it was actually probably because of Jalen Hurts' fumble that they ended up losing. However, Jalen Hurts is the guy. And it honestly, once again, shocks me how the Eagles are just like, yeah, there's a quarterback out there, Super Bowl winner quarterback Russell Wilson. Yeah, let's go pick him up. Huh? He didn't have that great of a year the prior year. Like, he didn't look all that great. And now you want him? Now all of a sudden you're saying, yeah, let's go get him over our younger quarterback. Our younger, less expensive quarterback. It didn't make a lot of sense. And it was thank God to Russell Wilson not waiving his no trade clause for the Eagles that the Eagles had to keep Jalen Hurts. So it shocks me how just, the Eagles are like, okay, sure, adios, bye, we're done with you. When he wasn't even really given a fair opportunity, but the Eagles just never believed in him. Once they got pieces around Jalen Hurts, a great offensive line, very, very good weapons, even had a good defense. They were right now going against, the 1985 Bears for the most sacks in playoff and regular season history. So just imagine if you actually believed in Jalen Hurts from the beginning. Just imagine that. And you're like, okay, this is our quarterback. We drafted him. Carson Wentz wasn't all that great. We made a mistake by benching him for Nate Sudfeld or whatever. And look what happens. I mean, Jalen Hurts, even throughout college, had issues. He went to Alabama, couldn't get a starting job, so he moved off to Oklahoma, and performed very well there. And lo and behold, now with A.J. Brown, with Devontae Smith, with Dallas Goedert, with great running backs, with a great offensive line, and a great defense, I'll also include that. He made it to the Super Bowl and looked really, really good this year. Now I expect him to grow once again because he's still a young quarterback. I mean, hell, he had 66% completion percentage, 3,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 22 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He also was going. He also had 760 rushing yards and 13 rushing touchdowns. He had 35 total touchdowns, and he had 4,400 yards? About a little bit more than that. Was it 4,462 or whatever it is? That's how many total yards he had. So right now, Jalen Hurts, you could put him in your I believe he's definitely a top 5 quarterback. You could argue he's in your top 3. And you wanted to move off him for a quarterback that's aging and that didn't look too hot. So I think the Eagles made a good decision making Jalen Hurts at the time, because now Lamar has that big contract, at the time the most paid quarterback in the NFL. It just shows. You believe in a guy that you draft who has potential, you put pieces around him to succeed, and then if he is smart enough, if he dedicates himself enough, he'll prove to you why that's a good idea. Now, some quarterbacks and some players don't do that. They either, chase the bag, or they're not right. They're not, mature enough to excel and dedicate themselves yet. And then that's where you get the busts. That's where you get, the mistakes there. But Jalen Hurts seems like a very mature, a very adult player in the NFL. He knows what's up. And lo and behold, he got you to a Super Bowl. And it just so happens you had an opportunity to win. You couldn't get it done because Mahomes right now is, here, and every quarterback is here and down. But you had an opportunity to win. So now, first of all, I don't expect the Eagles to go out and win what? They won 14-3 or something like that. 14-3. I don't expect that again. They lost some defensive players. They lost their offensive and defensive coordinators. I don't expect the same type of results, but I do think they'll still win the NFC East. That's what I do think. And I think right now the Eagles sort of dodged a bullet here. Well, outwardly they're saying, or this report is saying that they want to get off Jalen Hurts. I think they're now They're thanking the heavens above that Russell Wilson did not waive their no trade clause or his no trade clause to go to the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's get into our next topic here. So, Steve Kerr on Draymond Green's podcast had a very particular statement after Game 2. He said to Draymond Green, "You mentioned starting Love. That allowed Jimmy Butler to guard Jamal Murray." He also said, "I haven't talked to Spo," Eric Spoelstra, the Miami Heat coach, "but I could see them in their coaching meeting saying Murray is the head of the snake, not Jokic." That's pretty interesting coming from a NBA champion. How many champions? He's what 9 total championships, 7 championships as a coach and a player combined. So this isn't some random guy saying this. This is not an untrained eye, like Eric Spoelstra said when a reporter asked him about whether or not it's a good idea to just make Jokic a scorer, and that's where you find your success. Spoelstra said that that's the untrained eye's opinion. Well, Steve Kerr agrees with the untrained eye's opinion, and he has a pretty well-trained eye, if I do say so myself. He has a lot of NBA championships. He knows how to win. He's a phenomenal coach. I think that's undisputable. So to say that Murray's ahead of the snake, and in large part, that's correct. Jokic generally is not the one taking the big shots, taking the game-winning shots. Hell, the Heat probably should play this like the Celtics did with the Milwaukee Bucks, was it last season? Where they said, you know what, Giannis is going to get however many points he can. It's about the surrounding players not getting hot that you have to focus on. And that's the key, honestly, to any team who has a big star. You can let them drop 45 if you want. Just don't let the rest of the guys match him with 45 total points or even more. That's the key there. That's what happened. That's what the Celtics did with Giannis. Giannis scored 42, 45, 46. But it was about stopping a Chris Middleton, stopping a Drew Holiday, stopping a Brook Lopez. Don't let them start hitting crucial shots when they need to. Hitting a clutch 3 here, driving to the lane and getting the team and the crowd riled up there. It's about stopping everyone else. So you're the main guy, in this case it'd be Jokic. He'll score however many points. He scored 41 points in this past game. Now they're 0-3, 0-4 in the playoffs where Jokic scores 40 or more. It's about slowing down Jamal Murray. If Michael Porter's off, making sure he stays off. Don't let Bruce Brown hit a couple threes. Don't let KCP hit a couple threes. Don't let Aaron Gordon start going on the fast break. That's the key here. That's not an untrained eye's opinion. That honestly it's shown success. We have tangible proof that is actually how you can win basketball games if your team can actually execute it well. The Celtics did it last year. The Heat right now in Game 2 did that with Jokic. They didn't let Jamal Murray get going hitting clutch threes. Now, the game ended up being close, and Jamal Murray actually had an opportunity to send this game into overtime, but the Nuggets blew an 8-point lead entering the fourth quarter. The Heat went on this big run. I think I saw the Heat went on a 26-8 run in the fourth quarter. That shows guts. That shows well-coached basketball. And that's what Eric Spoelstra does. He makes his team super well coached. Take a look at all the teams that LeBron has left. The Cavs the first time. Then he goes to the Heat. He leaves the Heat, which is actually the outlier, which I'll talk about. He goes back to the Cavs, leaves them again. Look at what the Cavs are now. They're a little bit better, but when he left them for a couple of years, they were shaky. Now, if he leaves the Lakers, what will the Lakers have left over? Even if LeBron retires. Let's say he doesn't leave to go to a different team, but instead retires. What's left for the Lakers to get them back to that success? They already said, there was a report out today saying that they don't feel comfortable in giving Anthony Davis a long-term contract. So in reality, they don't have much left. Because Anthony Davis is super inconsistent. I don't think you want to give Austin Reeves the keys to the kingdom. Rui Hachimura ain't going to go out here and lead a team. The Heat are the only outlier because Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra are extremely good at what they do. Pat Riley getting pieces, super mature and dedicated pieces, and Eric Spoelstra coaching them up to the level to be consistent, to stay as a team, to not get in their own heads if they're missing shots. Just to come out here, do your part, and that'll prove it on the court with the amount of success that you're gonna have. So right now, the Heat are doing something that has already shown success. We'll see if that continues tonight in Game 3. But honestly, this is not an untrained eye. This is actually a great opinion. This is a great outlook on how to beat the Nuggets. Let Jokic score 45. Just don't let his assist numbers go up. I believe in this game, he had 4? I have the number right here. He had 4 assists in this game. Generally, he's a walking triple-double, having about, 9.8 assists, I believe he averages? Or, he actually I don't have the exact number in front of me. Let's see if I can quickly bring it up for you guys. Nikola Jokic this season averaged 9.8 assists. So that's what you got to do. Cut his assists in half, and it turns out you may win more games than you were expecting, which is actually kind of interesting going into tonight. Game 3's tonight. The Nuggets are favored by 3 on the road in Miami. Now, me personally, I'm taking the Nuggets here. And what's crazy about this postseason that I don't think a lot of people fully get yet, because, this is like you have to dig a little deep for this. Every single team that has won Game 3 in their series has gone on to win that series. So it isn't like a Game 6 where a team could be up 3-2, you lose Game 6, and that could have been your Game 7. And like we saw this in the Philadelphia series, where Philadelphia was just dismantled in Game 7, because really Game 6 was their winner-go-home game. It turns out it's Game 3. Every team that's won Game 3 has won the series. So my prediction will be, whoever, I'm picking the Nuggets to win, I think in 6 or 7. I believe it was 6. I'm scared, honestly, if the Nuggets lose tonight. Because based on the trend, if the Heat win tonight, they'll win the series. Because that's exactly what the trend says. Generally, trends are not wrong. That's why I believe in my Russell Wilson take, where this is more of a trend, not a blip, and we won't see a great Russell Wilson. We should see a slightly better Russell Wilson, but we won't see, Super Bowl winner or go deep into the playoffs Russell Wilson. So I don't think this is the untrained eye. I think that's unfair, actually, to say. Because guess what? That's how you guys won. You let Jokic score whatever he did, and Michael Porter Jr. wasn't in shots. Aaron Gordon wasn't super effective, and Jamal Murray wasn't a dominant takeover guard that he normally is. And you won the game. Now we'll see if they come out and do this again tonight. If Jokic goes out, scores 42 points, but Jamal Murray has, 20 points, if you showed me that stat line, I'd be like, okay, the Heat may have won that game. We'll see, though. I think it's going to be interesting to see what exactly happens tonight. I will take the Nuggets to win this game, which is pretty crucial, and they take one away from Miami at home. And by the way, Miami's lost their past 2 home games, which is interesting. So we'll see exactly how that plays out in tonight's game. I believe it's 8:30 on, my guess would be ABC again. So we will see. Let's get into our last topic here. So. I talked not too long ago about this Ja Morant situation when he flashed a gun on IG Live for the second time he was shown with the gun. And I felt like my take was pretty good. I think I was pretty right with the way I went with this, because honestly, you could take it 2 ways. You could feel bad for him because he's such a young kid and he has the weight of an entire state on his shoulders to prove that, yeah, he's Ja Morant. He could bring a title to Memphis. Or you could take it from an outlook of, yeah, he did this once, got penalized for it, and decided to do it again. He's not the brightest of, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. Well, it turns out today there's a rumor and a report that came out that said that Ja Morant's team is now claiming the gun that was shown on IG Live was actually a toy from a relative. Are you kidding me? This does not connect on any level. This has no pinpoint precision to what the actual story is, or it doesn't even make sense to how you actually came out and spoke about it. Because Ja Morant issued an apology. Now, while it sounded like a ChatGPT apology, this is what he had to say. I know I've disappointed a lot of people who have supported me. This is a journey, and I recognize there is more work to do. My words may not mean much right now, but I take full accountability for my actions. I'm committed to continuing to work on myself. That was Ja Morant's statement after the second IG Live video dropped. Are you kidding me? You're now saying that this is a gun that's actually owned by a relative? I got a problem with that. The first one would be, why the hell at 23, 24 years old are you holding around a fake gun? Huh? People, innocent people, have been killed by police officers even for flashing a fake gun. And also, I want to say this before I also jump into my next point. A lot of people still don't understand. This is not a legal issue. This is not about Second Amendment rights. This ain't about that. We understand, yeah. Now, we're assuming that Ja Morant actually owns the firearm. That is registered in his name. And then it wouldn't be illegal for him to be holding it, wielding around, and whatever. That's not the whole argument about this. I know someone in my comment section is bringing up the Second Amendment and who has a problem with that. It ain't about the Second Amendment. The NBA is a private entity. They have their own rules. Ja Morant has signed a contract agreeing to the rules of the NBA and even rules that the Memphis Grizzlies have within their own franchise. Now, while it's not illegal to hold a firearm, the NBA can still fine and suspend you based on their rules that Ja Morant signed in his contract that say if you know you're gonna wield a gun with any intent to danger yourself or others, yeah, that's a serious problem. That's the NBA rule. The NBA has its own rules on guns. This ain't about the Second Amendment. So stop with that. So let's continue now. I just want to put that out there for anyone still wondering why are people talking about this if it's still legal, whatever. No, it's not a legal issue. The legal issue is not the problem. It's the NBA and how advertisers look at the NBA if they allow this type of person to do this. If they allow a person to just wield a firearm around, wave it around, dance with it in their car. Yeah, it's a bad look for the NBA. Advertisers be like, you're allowing this type of behavior? No, that's bad. See, the whole point of a fake gun, generally, let's say if it's a BB gun, they have that like orange tip on it to make sure that's fake. If you take that off and you wield it around, you're 23 years old. You're 23, 24 years old, and you're holding around a fake gun. That's childish behavior. That really is childish behavior. So now I'm actually flipping my opinion. I'm not saying it's two opinions anymore, because the mature thing to do would be to come out and say, I made a mistake. Yeah, that's my gun, or that is a real gun. I will take accountability for my actions. I clearly need some form of help if I'm continuing to do this behavior after getting punished by the organization, which I'm an employee of. I'll take accountability for my actions. I accept any punishment coming to me, and live like that. Let bygones be bygones, and people forget about it later on. Instead, your team is coming out and reportedly saying that this gun is owned by this is a toy owned by a relative. That just shows immaturity. That shows excuses, and it wouldn't make sense. Because guess what? This statement came out, today or yesterday? And I don't have the exact date in front of me, but I believe I talked about this like a month ago. More than a month ago, maybe. I'll bring up the actual date right now. I talked about Ja Morant's situation holding a firearm all the way back May 15th of 2023. May 15th, which is about 3 weeks ago. So you come out the next day and say, by the way, that was a toy. Yeah, you may get clowned on the internet. Why are you holding a fake gun like you're all that? Yeah, you come out and do that, but you can live with it. Now, the NBA be like, what the hell is going on? Now you're lying? Because what's funny is that Adam Silver came out and said that we discovered more about this situation than what was previously discovered. And if it really was a fake gun, he said, I'll announce what we're going to do with Ja after the finals to not take away anything from the NBA finals. If it really was a toy gun, I guarantee you Adam Silver would have came out and said, by the way, that was a fake gun. And then I guarantee you nobody would be talking about this. Instead, it seems like that's a real gun. It's a real gun. And Adam Silver is going to come out at the end of the finals and give a legitimate punishment. Now, it seems like there's a fake gun. It's a toy. By the way, that makes you look worse. That makes you seem like just stupid, in my opinion. That you're holding that fake gun after you were just penalized for holding, showing a real one on IG Live. And you're saying that's a fake gun? Why are you even holding a fake gun? That baffles me again. Why the hell you would be doing this? The image of it, the imagery of it. And if it really was a fake gun, like I said before, come out the next day and say, by the way, that's fake. Here you go. See how it's fake? Instead, your team had to come out and say, 3 weeks later, yeah, that's a fake gun owned by a relative. Huh? What? That's just stupid. That's just stupid. Take accountability for your actions. Don't make excuses. If you take accountability for your actions, you seem like a mature adult. You don't see other NBA stars or any even young NBA players doing this type of behavior. Because people of any culture would love to get paid hundreds of millions of dollars to play a sport. Hell, I want to make a career about talking about sports like I do now for a company like FS1 or ESPN or NBC Sports or whatever. That's my dream. Because guess what? I get to sit around a desk. I know it's a lot of work besides it, but the general concept of it is you sit around a table, you either talk to a camera like I'm doing, like The Herd maybe, or you're on a debate platform of a show where you debate someone else for live TV and you discuss and debate sports. Imagine playing sport. Imagine you love playing a sport and getting paid millions of dollars to do it. Who wouldn't want that type of life? Instead, John wants to throw it away, and his team wants to make him seem, probably stupid for coming out and saying, by the way, it's a toy. Miss me with that. Come on. Stop it. Honestly, if it's a toy, it's worse. It honestly is worse. If it's a real gun, yeah, I guarantee you there's probably a concrete punishment for if it's a real gun. If it's a toy, I don't know. And the suspension may be weird. It may be weird because, it's a fake gun. Like, what do you do about that? Are you going to suspend him? I think, honestly, if it really was a fake gun, Adam Silver would have already come out and said, we've discovered that this wasn't actually a real firearm, and it is what it is. We could all leave it aside. Instead, he's saying after the finals, we're going to actually announce his punishment. Could this be a little bit of a reach saying, hold up, let's reinvestigate whether or not it was fake? I don't know if that could be it. Maybe. I'm spitballing here. But we're going to have to see. After the NBA finals, by the way, Shannon Sharp, RIP on Undisputed. He supposedly got a buyout. I was thinking about doing that topic today, but I decided not to. We're not a sports show. We're a sports news show. We debate, analyze, and dissect sports. I think it is funny though. Shannon Sharp leaving Undisputed. That's just it's a side thought. Maybe I'll talk about that in a next Harvey hot topic. Sorry. But we'll see. But I do think that will wrap it up. John Morant, yikes. I'm praying that this is not a fake gun. I'm praying. But we will see. That'll end it for today's episode of the Harvey Hour Fired Up. Great to see you guys today. Thank you for joining me today. Hopefully this weather gets cleared up. I don't feel like walking out and seeing like Mad Max outside my outside my window. The air quality is terrible. Was it Canadian wildfires, I think? It's crazy to see. There was a fire sun yesterday. The sun was like bright orange in the middle of the day. It's crazy. Stay safe out there. Be careful of breathing in. You might want to wear a mask again. So a couple people I saw wearing masks outside. Stay safe out there if you live in the Northeast. But my name's Nathan Harvey. I am your host of the Harvey Hour Fired Up. Catch me and my dad Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
Podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.